You are not weak. You are not broken. You are just tired. And tired is not the end. Welcome. If you found this video today, I don't think it was by accident. Something brought you here. Maybe it was a hard week. Maybe it was a hard year. Maybe you've been carrying something heavy for so long that your arms have started to shake. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a small voice has started asking, what if I just stop? I hear you. I'm not here to give you a list of rules. I'm not here to tell you to wake up at 5 in the morning, or to be grateful, or to push harder. You've heard all of that. And maybe it helped for a while. But today is different. Today, you don't need a challenge. You need a conversation. This is a graded lesson for English learners who need strength today. So let's talk. Not as a teacher and a student. As two people who know what it feels like when the road gets long and the light gets hard to see. Here is what I want you to know before we go any further. The fact that you're still here, still watching, still trying to find something to hold on to, that is not nothing. That is everything. Most people who reach the edge don't go looking for a reason to stay. You did. That matters. In this video, I'm going to give you 8 things to tell yourself when everything inside you wants to stop. Not motivational slogans, not empty words. Real sentences. Words with weight. Words that have helped real people get through real darkness. And by the end of this, I want you to have at least one sentence that you can carry with you. One sentence you can say out loud when the next hard moment comes. Because it will come. And when it does, you'll be ready. Tired is not the end. That's our phrase for today. Say it again in your mind. Tired is not the end. It sounds simple, but simple is not the same as easy. And simple is not the same as small. That sentence, those 4 words can be the difference between the life you have and the life you almost gave up on. Before we begin, if this kind of content speaks to you, if you want more honest conversations about strength and struggle and what it means to keep going, subscribe right now. Hit the button. There's more coming, and I don't want you to miss it. Now, let's begin. Because you came here for a reason, and that reason is still alive inside you. Lesson 1. You have already survived 100% of your hardest days. Think about that for a moment. Every single hard day you have ever had, you survived it. Every moment that felt impossible, every night that felt too long, every morning you didn't want to get out of bed, you made it through all of them. 100%. Not 50, not most. All of them. Here's the truth. You have a survival rate of 100% so far. And that is not luck. That is you. There was a young woman, let's call her Maya. She was 22 years old, studying for the most important exam of her life. She had been preparing for months, and the night before the exam, something broke inside her. Not her notes, not her schedule, something deeper. She sat at her desk and thought, I can't do this. I'm not smart enough. I never was. She closed her books. She turned off her lamp, and she sat in the dark for a long time. But then she did something small. She opened her notebook to the very first page. The first note she had ever written for this subject months ago, and she read it. And she thought, I wrote this. I learned this. I didn't know any of this before, and now I do. She turned the lamp back on. She didn't feel confident. She didn't feel ready. But she remembered something important. She had felt this exact feeling before every hard thing she had ever done. And every single time she had come out the other side, she went to the exam. She passed. Not because the fear disappeared, but because she remembered her own history. This is what most people forget when they are in the middle of a hard time. They forget their own story. They forget what they have already walked through. The breakup they thought would break them forever. The job they lost that felt like the end of everything. The moment they were sure they couldn't go on. And then they did. They went on. You went on. Your history is not just pain. Your history is proof. So when that voice comes, and it will come, and it says, you can't do this, you answer it. You answer it with facts. You say, I have done hard things before. I am doing a hard thing right now, and I will come out the other side of this one too. You trained for this. Not in a gym, not in a classroom. You trained for this in every hard moment you have ever survived. Tired is not the end. It never was. You are living proof of that. Right now. Today. Every hard day you made it through is proof that you can make it through this one too. Lesson 2. The voice in your head is lying to you. There is a voice. You know the one. It shows up at the worst possible time, when you're tired, when you've failed, when the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels too wide to cross. And it says things. Quiet things, sharp things. Things that sound like the truth because they come from inside you. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not ready enough. Stay with me. That voice is not your friend. That voice is not your honest self speaking. That voice is fear. And fear is not a fact. Here is something important to understand. The voice in your head was built over many years. It was shaped by every time someone told you no, by every failure you didn't expect, by every moment you tried and it didn't work. The brain learned those moments. It stored them. And now when you face something hard, the brain does what it was trained to do. It warns you. It says, danger, this might hurt, stop. That warning system kept your ancestors alive. It protected them from real danger. But here is the problem. Your brain cannot always tell the difference between a lion in the forest and a dream that scares you. Carol Dweck is a psychologist at Stanford University. She spent decades studying how people think about challenge and failure. She found two kinds of mindsets. People with a fixed mindset hear a hard thing and think, this is proof that I can't do it. People with a growth mindset hear the same hard thing and think, this is how I learn. Same moment, completely different voice. And here is what Dweck found. The difference between those two groups was not talent. It was not intelligence. It was the words they used inside their own heads. Weak self-talk says, I can't do this. Strong self-talk says, I can't do this yet. One word, 3 letters, yet. That word changes everything. It changes a wall into a door. It changes a full stop into a comma. It changes this is the end into this is not finished. When the voice comes and says you're not good enough, you don't fight it. You don't argue with it. You simply add one word. Not good enough yet. And then you ask it a question. What would good enough look like? And what is one thing I can do today to get a little closer? The voice doesn't have an answer for that. Fear never does. Because fear speaks in statements. Growth speaks in questions. And questions are always more powerful than statements. Statements close doors. Questions open them. So the next time that voice arrives, remember this. It is not telling you the truth. It is telling you what it's afraid of. And what it's afraid of is how far you might go if you don't stop. That voice is fear. And fear is not a fact. Lesson 3. Hard things don't happen to you. They happen for you. This one is going to challenge you. I want you to stay open to it. We have been taught, most of us, from a very young age to see difficulty as something wrong, as something that should not be happening. If things are hard, it means something has gone bad. It means we made a mistake. It means life is being unfair. But what if that is exactly backwards? Now think about this. If you have never lifted anything heavy, your muscles stay small. If you have never run a long distance, your lungs stay weak. If you have never faced a hard conversation, your courage stays thin. The difficulty is not the obstacle to growth. The difficulty is the method of growth. Think about the people you admire most in your life. Not the ones who had everything easy. The ones who went through something real. The ones who lost something and rebuilt. The ones who failed and came back. The ones who were knocked down and stood up again. Those are the people whose stories stay with you, because somewhere inside you know. The hard thing was not what stopped them. The hard thing was what made them. Now think about quitters and finishers, not as personality types, as choices. Two people face the same wall. The quitter looks at the wall and asks, "Why is this so hard? This shouldn't be this hard. Maybe this isn't for me." The finisher looks at the same wall and says, "Hard means I'm growing. Hard means I'm in the right place. Hard means this is worth something." Same wall, completely different story. Winston Churchill understood this better than almost anyone. He led Britain through the darkest years of the Second World War. Cities were being destroyed. People were dying. The future was completely uncertain, and there were voices even inside his own government that said maybe we should negotiate. Maybe we should find a way to make this stop. Churchill didn't lead a nation through war because life was easy. He did it because he refused to treat hard as final. In one of his most famous speeches, he told the British people to never give in. Never give in to force. Never give in to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy. He did not say it would be easy. He did not promise that it would be fast. He said, "Keep going." And they did, and history changed. If you are in pain right now, if you are struggling, if everything feels uncertain and heavy and slow, I want you to consider something. What if this is not punishment? What if this is preparation? What if the weight you are carrying right now is building exactly the kind of strength you will need for what comes next? Hard things don't happen to you, they happen for you. That sentence won't make the hard thing disappear, but it will change your relationship to it. And changing your relationship to difficulty is the first step toward walking through it. Lesson 4. You don't have to be strong every day. You just have to show up. There is a myth about strong people, and it has done a lot of damage. The myth says that strong people don't feel weak. That strong people don't have days where they can't get off the floor. That strong people are always moving, always pushing, always certain. And if you have a day where you feel none of those things, the myth says that means you are not one of them. The myth is wrong. Let me make this simple. You don't have to feel strong to be strong. You don't have to feel brave to act brave. You don't have to feel ready to begin. Strength is not a feeling. Strength is a decision. The decision to show up, even when showing up is the hardest thing you could possibly do that day. David Goggins knows something about this. He is a former United States Navy SEAL, an extreme long-distance runner, and one of the most mentally disciplined people alive. But he didn't start that way. He started overweight, working a job he hated, feeling like his life was going nowhere. He has talked openly about the darkness he carried, about the days he didn't want to move, about the mornings when everything inside him said, "Stay down." He talks about what he calls the 40% rule. The idea is this: when your mind tells you that you are done, that you have nothing left, that you cannot go any further, you are actually only at 40% of your true ability. The body and the mind quit long before they actually have to. The other 60% is still there, waiting, untouched. 99% of people stop when it hurts. 1% stop to rest, then keep going. That is the only difference. Not talent, not luck, not a special gift that some people have and others don't. Just the decision to pause, to breathe, to recover, and then to continue. Goggins didn't become who he is by feeling motivated every morning. He became who he is by showing up on the mornings he felt nothing at all, by lacing up his shoes when every cell in his body said don't, by choosing the discomfort of discipline over the comfort of giving up. You don't have to do what Goggins does. You don't have to run 100 miles or train until you break, but you can take the principle. You can remember on your hardest days that what you feel right now is not the full picture of what you are capable of. Tired is not the end. Before we go further, I want to pause for just a moment. If this video is speaking to something real inside you, if these words are landing somewhere that matters, subscribe right now. Hit that button. There is more of this coming, and I want you to be here for it. One tap. That's all it takes. Now let's keep going, because you just passed the halfway point, and you're still here. That already says something about you. Lesson 5. Rest is not quitting. Know the difference. I want to talk about something that nobody says out loud enough. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop. Not forever, not with your hands in the air and your dream left behind. But stop, sit down, breathe, and let yourself recover. We live in a world that treats rest like laziness, that treats slowness like weakness, that treats a pause like a surrender. And because of that, a lot of people are walking around completely empty, trying to give from a place that has nothing left. And when they finally break, they blame themselves. They think, I wasn't strong enough. But the truth is, they were never allowed to rest. Hear me on this. There is a difference between resting and quitting. One restores you, the other defines you. Resting says, I am pausing so I can continue. Resting says, I am filling up so I can give more. Resting says, I am not done, I am just not going right now. Quitting says something different. Quitting says, I am done with this dream. I am walking away and I am not coming back. Quitting is a final answer. Rest is a comma, not a full stop. There was a man, let's call him Daniel. He had signed up for his first marathon, 26 miles. He had trained for 5 months. Race day came, and he ran well until kilometer 30. And then something inside him collapsed. His legs stopped listening. His breathing went wrong. Everything hurt. And at kilometer 30, he stopped. He sat down by the side of the road, and he watched the other runners pass him. And he went home feeling like a failure. But here is what happened next. He didn't quit running. He rested. He recovered. He signed up for the same race the following year. He trained smarter. And at kilometer 30, the same place where he had stopped before, he remembered that moment. And he kept going. He crossed the finish line. The stop was not the end of his story. The stop was a chapter in it. Viktor Frankl was a doctor and thinker who survived the Nazi concentration camps during the Second World War. He lost nearly everything. His family, his freedom, his written work. He was surrounded by suffering so deep that most people could not have found a reason to keep breathing. But Frankl did something remarkable. He found meaning. In the smallest things, a kind word from another prisoner, a memory of someone he loved. The idea that one day he might tell this story and help someone else survive their own darkness. Frankl survived the worst the world could offer, not because he was never broken, but because he never lost his reason to continue. That is what rest gives you. It gives you the chance to find your reason again. When you are running on empty, you cannot think clearly. You cannot feel hope. You cannot remember why you started. Rest is not giving up on the reason. Rest is going back to find it. So, if you are exhausted right now, I am not going to tell you to push harder. I am going to tell you this. Sit down. Breathe. Let your body recover. Let your mind go quiet for a moment. And when you are ready, and you will be ready, you will stand back up. Because that is what you do. That is who you are. Rest, then rise. Lesson 6. Quitting costs more than you think. I want to be honest with you now, because I think you deserve that. Quitting feels good. In the moment, it feels like relief, like putting down something that was too heavy, like finally being able to breathe again. And that feeling is real. I'm not going to pretend it isn't, but that feeling doesn't last. What comes after the relief is something quieter, something that sits in the corner of your mind for a long time. The question you can never quite answer. What would have happened if I had kept going? Pause for 1 second. Think about something you gave up on. Something you walked away from before it was finished. Maybe a project, maybe a relationship you stopped trying in, maybe a version of yourself you started building and then abandoned. Do you ever think about it? Do you ever wonder? That wondering is the cost of quitting, and it is a cost that keeps charging long after the decision is made. If you quit when it's hard, you never find out what was waiting on the other side. If you quit when you're tired, you never discover what you were truly capable of. If you quit before the finish line, you never know how close you actually were. Consumers and builders face the same difficult moment differently. Consumers scroll past the pain. They see something hard coming and they look for the exit. They choose comfort now over possibility later. And there is nothing wrong with wanting comfort. But comfort, chosen every time, in every hard moment, becomes a cage. Builders sit with the pain. They don't enjoy it. They don't pretend it isn't there. But they look at difficulty and ask, what is this teaching me? What does this hard thing make possible that easy things never could? Builders come out different on the other side because they went through something that changed them. J.K. Rowling was a single mother living on government support when she was writing the first Harry Potter book. She was struggling with money. She had lost her mother. Her marriage had ended. In every way, her life was telling her to stop, to be practical, to give up on the story she was carrying inside her. She sent her written work to 12 different publishers. 12 times someone read her words and said no. 12 times she could have decided that the answer was final, that the dream wasn't meant for her, that it was time to walk away. She didn't. Rowling wasn't rejected 12 times because she wasn't good enough. She was rejected 12 times before the world caught up to her. The 13th publisher said yes. And the rest is a story that hundreds of millions of people have read, loved, and carried with them through their own hard times. What if she had stopped at rejection number 7? What if she had decided that 7 no's was enough? The world would have lost something it didn't even know it needed. Now I want to ask you something. What is the world going to lose if you stop? What story? What work, what version of yourself is waiting to exist on the other side of this hard moment? Tired is not the end. Quitting feels like relief, but it always costs more than you think. And you, the person watching this right now, are worth more than the cost. Lesson 7. Tell yourself these exact words. We have talked about what is happening inside you. We have talked about the voice, the struggle, the cost of stopping, the permission to rest. Now I want to give you something practical, something you can use today, tonight, the next time the hard moment comes. I want to give you the words, because words matter more than most people realize. Not words you read in a book, not words someone else says to you. The words you say to yourself, inside your head, out loud in an empty room, whispered in the dark when no one is listening. Listen carefully. Science has a name for what happens when you repeat certain words and thoughts over time. It's called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change itself based on repeated experience. When you think the same thought many times, the brain builds a stronger pathway for that thought. It becomes easier to reach, more natural, more like the default. This means that the words you speak to yourself, repeated over time, actually rewire the way your brain works. Negative self-talk repeated every day builds a brain that looks for reasons to stop. Honest, positive self-talk, repeated every day, builds a brain that looks for ways to continue. You are not just choosing words, you are choosing the kind of mind you want to live in. There was a woman, let's call her Sarah. She was raising 2 children alone, working 2 jobs, studying at night when the children were asleep. Nobody saw how tired she was. Nobody knew how many nights she cried after the lights went out. Nobody knew how many times she almost stopped. But her children saw something else. They saw her get up every morning. They saw her pack her bag, make their breakfast, kiss them on the head, and go. They didn't know about the tears. They knew about the showing up. One day her daughter asked her, "Mama, how do you keep going when things are hard?" And Sarah thought for a long time, and then she said, "I tell myself the truth. I say I am tired, but I am not finished. I am scared, but I am not stopping. I am not where I want to be, but I am closer than I was yesterday." Those were not motivational slogans. Those were honest sentences. Sentences that didn't pretend everything was fine. Sentences that held both the difficulty and the direction at the same time. That is what strong self-talk looks like. Not fake, not loud, not pretending the pain isn't real. Just honest, and pointed forward. So here are the words, the exact words I want you to practice. Say them out loud if you can. Say them to a mirror. Say them quietly to yourself before you sleep. I am tired, but I am not finished. I am scared, but I am not stopping. I am not where I want to be, but I am closer than I was yesterday. And one more, the most important one. I am the kind of person who keeps going. That last sentence is not a description of how you feel. It is a strong statement about who you are. And the more you say it, the more your brain believes it. And the more your brain believes it, the more your actions follow. The words you speak to yourself are the most powerful words in the world. Choose them carefully. Use them daily. And watch what they build. Lesson 8. Who you become by not stopping. We are almost at the end, and I want to save the most important idea for here, because this one changes everything. We have talked about survival, about the lying voice, about hard things happening for you, about showing up, about rest, about the cost of quitting, about the words that rebuild you. All of that matters, all of that is real, but underneath all of it, there is one question that I think is the most powerful question you can ask yourself in a hard moment. Not, can I do this? Not, is this worth it? Not, how much longer? The question is this: who am I becoming by not stopping? Here's what most people miss. Every time you choose to keep going when everything says stop, you are not just completing a task. You are not just getting through a day. You are building a person. You are becoming someone, and that someone, the one being built right now, in this hard season, is the version of you that will be capable of the next level, the next chapter, the next dream you haven't even imagined yet. Kobe Bryant called it the Mamba mentality. He wasn't talking about basketball skills. He wasn't talking about natural talent. He was talking about identity. The deep decision about who you are and how you face the world. He trained when he was sick. He trained when he was injured. He trained when he had already won everything there was to win. Not because he had something to prove to others, because he had something to prove to himself. Because every training session was a vote for the kind of person he had decided to be. He said it simply. I am the kind of person who does not stop. Not, I try not to stop. Not, I usually keep going. A strong statement. A definition. An identity. You are building that same identity right now, in the small moments, in the quiet decisions no one else sees. Every morning you get up when you don't want to, you cast a vote. Every time you choose the hard thing over the easy thing, you cast a vote. Every time you say the words, I am not finished, you cast a vote. And votes add up. They always do. Over time, those votes become a character, and that character becomes a life. So I want you to think about the version of you that is waiting on the other side of this hard season, not the version that had everything easy. The version that went through something real and came out the other side changed, stronger, clearer, more certain of who they are and what they are capable of. That version of you is not a fantasy. That version of you is what happens naturally from every small decision you make today, and tomorrow, and the day after that. Tired is not the end. It is the beginning of the version of you that the world has been waiting for. Kobe didn't call it talent. He called it identity. I am the kind of person who does not stop. Say that, mean it, and then go live it. We have come a long way together. You came here tired, maybe a little broken, maybe carrying something heavy that nobody else knows about. And you stayed. You listened all the way to the end. And I want you to know that means something. Let me bring everything together for you now. You learned that tired is not weakness. It is proof that you tried, that you have a survival rate of 100%, and your history is not just pain. It is evidence. You learned that the voice in your head is not telling you the truth. It is telling you what it fears. And fear is not a fact. You learned that hard things don't come to punish you. They come to prepare you. That struggle is not the opposite of growth. It is the method of it. You learned that you don't have to feel strong to be strong, that showing up even empty, even uncertain, even afraid is enough. That the 40% your mind calls the limit is not the limit at all. You learned that rest is not surrender, that a comma is not a full stop. That pausing to recover is one of the bravest things a person can do. You learned that quitting has a cost that keeps charging long after the decision is made, that somewhere on the other side of your hardest moment, something is waiting that the world needs. You learned that the words you speak to yourself are building a mind, one repeated thought at a time. That honest, forward-pointing language is not weakness dressed up. It is what builds a stronger self. And you learned that every time you choose to keep going, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming, for the life that is still possible, for the version of you that the next hard season is going to need. Those are the 8 things I wanted to give you today. Not a magic formula, not a quick fix, just 8 honest ideas that real people have used to stay in the game when everything inside them wanted to walk away. And now I want to leave you with one last thing. The version of you that kept going will one day thank the version of you that refused to stop. Read that again. Let it settle. Because it is true. The you that is on the other side of this, the one who made it through, the one who came out changed, that person exists. That person is real. And the only thing standing between you and that person is the decision made today and tomorrow and every day after that to not stop. You don't have to be certain. You don't have to be ready. You don't have to feel brave. You just have to keep going. Keep listening daily, and your mind and English will grow. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying until the end. That already tells me something important about who you are. Now, before you go, I have one question for you. Just one. Write your answer in the comments below. Here it is. What is the one sentence you tell yourself when you want to give up? Write it down. Put it in the comments, because someone out there, someone who is watching this video at their lowest point, needs to read your words today. Your sentence might be the thing that keeps them going. And that is not a small thing. That is everything. I'll see you in the next one. Keep going.